on the farm today and I'm on foot. I'm going to talk to you today. This is one of my small farm finance videos, and I'm going to talk to you about the brick house rule and how it applies to your farm and customers. So if I hadn't already said it, I got this bucket and I have a lot of tools that I've collected over the years, and yard sales, just buying stuff on sale. And I'm real bad about losing like a 1/2 inch socket and going out and buying a 1/2 inch socket, and then a month later I find like 5 1/2 inch sockets. So when I say I have a lot of tools, it's not that I have a lot of different tools. I have a lot of tools that are the same. And so sometimes when I'm working on a project, I just leave the tools with the project, and then I'll dig into the stash of tools to use with another project. And so then the next thing you know, I got tools scattered all over the place. And I got some tools in behind this old spreader I want to pick up, and then I got some up in the barn. It's time to round some of these tools up. Now you might ask, what is rounding up a bunch of tools got to do with farm finance and the brick house rule? The answer is nothing. So years ago, I used to keep a big garden on this farm just right over there, and I had a really nice Troy-Bilt tiller. And anyway, I had a fella that I knew, and he was older. He wasn't like somebody that couldn't run a tiller of his own, and he wasn't somebody that probably couldn't buy a tiller of his own. And anyway, he had a garden and lived just a couple miles from where I was at. And anyway, he was for whatever reason, he actually didn't have a tiller, and he was using a shovel or a spade or something to kind of turn his garden. It wasn't a big garden, but nonetheless he was doing it all by hand. So I thought I'd be a good guy and help him out. And I enjoyed running that tiller anyway. And I told him, I said, in the spring I'll till up your garden. And he wanted that, and I wanted to do it. And so I commenced over a period of several years tilling up his garden, and it was all good. Well, then a couple of years in a row, I went to the fellow's house to till up his garden in the spring, and he knew I was coming both times, and he wanted his garden tilled, and I was more than glad to do it. And so first time I got there, and I had the tailgate down on my trailer, and I was trying to get my tiller unloaded, and he came out, and I said, can you help me unload this tiller? And he said, well, I got my nice clothes on. And he said, my wife and I are going out to eat here in a little bit, but and maybe he was going out to eat right then. Anyway, he said, can you move your truck and trailer? I was like, well, I got the tailgate down. He said, well, we need to leave now. Something like that. And he wasn't mean or anything, but he was insistent that I get that truck and trailer out of his driveway so he could back his car out and go. So I said, all right. So I rolled the tiller that was starting to come off of the thing, rolled it back up on there and pulled out, and he and his wife went on, and then I got back up and unloaded the trailer by myself. So then the next year came by, and I talked to him, and he wanted me to till his garden, and I wanted to till it. And I went over there, and for whatever reason, to be a spring day, it was hot as an August day. And I got out there and got that tiller off. And seems to me like he was out there drinking a glass of tea and watching. And I'm telling you, the sweat was rolling off me. And I think I was about halfway through his garden, and he wanted me to till it a certain way, it was on a slope. And the Troy-Bilt tiller, you know, if you're running across the side of a slope, it's hard to do. But I was doing the best I can, and I don't know, for whatever reason, he kind of complained a little bit about the way I was tilling his garden, and sweat was rolling off me, and he had a cool drink and never offered one time if I wanted a cold drink. And it took a while to till this garden, because I'd go through it a couple of times, maybe 3 times, to get it busted up, because it was going to be a one and done thing. And anyway, I was really busy doing my thing, and I got towards the end there, and I looked up, and he and his wife had left again. I don't know where they went, but they just left. And I wasn't charging any money, and I wasn't asking no favors or anything, and I probably shouldn't have been expecting the normal. And I really wasn't, but I was kind of standing on the little hill where his garden was, and looking down on his brick house. He had a nice brick house. He had a nice riding mower in a shed, sitting under a shed, a lean-to. He had like a concrete driveway. You know, he had like architectural shingles. I mean, he had a pretty nice place. He had everything except a tiller, and I was providing that. And I thought, the dumpy house I live in, and needs a lot of work, and it's certainly not a brick house. And I go to the trouble to buy a tiller, and I pay for it. And he never did give me any gas or any gas money, and I never asked. But again, I would have if it was flipped around the other way. But I'm looking at all this stuff, and sweat's rolling off of me, and I said, well, you know what? This will be the last time I till his garden. He could do it himself. He was physically able. He was just too tight to spend the money to buy him a tiller, is what it was. And I always remembered that brick house. And I have now what I call the brick house rule. And that is, unless there are exceptions, if you're living better than I am, don't expect me to bend over backwards to help you out when you're perfectly capable of doing it yourself. Don't come borrowing my tractor. Don't come borrowing my lawnmower. If you got a breakdown, that's one thing. But if you're just too cheap, to invest in your own equipment, then don't come to me. And that's kind of been my brick house rule, and I've kind of stuck with it over the years. Now, what does all that have to do with a small farm and small farm finance. Well, a lot of times, you know, we do everything we can to make our customer happy. And in my case, I'm talking about the hay customer and the horse customers. And some of these customers roll in, you know, and they've got a Ford or a Dodge 3/4 ton extended cab. I mean, they got 4-wheel drive, diesel. They got the nicest of trailers, either just a flatbed trailer, gooseneck, or a horse trailer. You know, they've got really nice clothes. Everything about them just smacks of money being spent, and money that they have or money that they borrow. And so we get into a situation like we are this year, especially where fertilizer prices are double and triple, and we got you know, herbicide prices are expensive if you can find it. And in equipment, you know, the cars aren't the only thing that are scarce and prices are high. Equipment is the same way, tractors and equipment. And everything just costs more. And so some of these people, you know, if they need a break, if there's something going on and I need to help them out, I will. But don't come to me and say, you know, it's too much. And from the brick house standpoint, what I'm saying is, don't price your hay so low that you're doing a customer a favor that's financially better off than you are. And I'm not saying that rich versus poor. What I'm saying is, if a customer has the money to buy your product, whether it's hay or soybeans or strawberries out of your garden, you don't need to be sending money out of your wallet with them. You shouldn't be losing money because you're trying to help somebody that's better off than you are. It's one thing to lower your price or even give hay away, let's say to a rescue or a good cause. Maybe the church needs some hay for something, for some fall decoration, and you give a few bales. But, you know, when you size up your customers, and when you look at your bottom line and how much you need to make and pencil out, you know, we're in my case haying, but we're farming for a profit. We're not farming to lose money. We're not gonna generate $1,000 in income, you know, and have $2,000 worth of expenses. And we need to pass that cost on to the customer. And if you get kind of weak-kneed about it and you go, well, they're just some really nice people, and you know, I hate to charge them anymore. I know fertilizer prices are double and triple, and I'll just try to hold the line on prices, and I'll live with less margin, or I might even just lose money this year, but you know, I just hate to hit my customers with a higher price. Well, let me tell you, you need to invoke the brick house rule. You need to raise your prices to cover your expenses. And then that way you can continue on. You might lose a customer here, you might lose a customer there, but if you got a quality product, you know, people will buy it. And as long as you're not, you know, just gouging, I mean, that's that's on the other end of the spectrum. But you know, apply the brick house rule to your farm business and charge enough money to cover your costs and make an income for you to live on, or to partially live on, or to do whatever you need to do with that extra income. You know, don't farm to break even. And so kind of a long rambling video, small farm finance, the brick house rule, and how it may apply to your farm, and certainly how it applies to this farm. So we'll talk to you later.